All right, we're back, and Tyler, that is not the screen that I want to display your face. We're looking at the OBS right now. Great start to this episode of the No Look Podcast. It just kind of sums up fucking where we've been at these past few days. Why can I not find this input right now? Yeah.
Insert Jeopardy song. Do 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 do.
There's me.
Do 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 do. Do, 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 do.
That's not it.
Do,
Hold on.
do, do,
There
do,
it is. All
do.
right, we got him.
Ah,
Your boy Yo Soy, the man, goddamn Tyler. Somehow we made it back in one piece from Nashville.
slightly.
Slightly. I definitely I lost a lot of money, two hats, a lot of dignity, and certainly fucking years off my life because that was a hell of a trip.
Can we tell the hat stories real quick? The two separate ones, because I mean I was there for the second one, but the
Yeah.
first one, Austin's like, "Where's my hat?"
The first one I don't even remember, dude. I browned out so hard at fucking Jason Aldean's. I remember going around talking to those chicks at the bachelor party, and then I remember walking around trying to find a Sharpie to write on Dan's white sweatshirt that he was the groom to be. He just had a perfectly blank white sweatshirt. He's like, "Oh, it's $10 from Kohl's." I'm like, "Oh, he's not gonna miss it. I'm just gonna write or fuck it. What did I say? Did I say bride, groom to be?"
Room to be.
Anyways, and then yeah, the next morning I wake up and the hat I was wearing's gone. I'm like, "What the fuck happened to it?" And Brendan was like, "Dude, I was going to the bathroom or coming back from the bathroom and I saw this chick wearing your hat." And I was like, "Where'd you get that hat?" And I guess she was like, "Oh, I just took it off this guy's head." And he was like, "Oh, I was gonna take it from her, but she was hot, so I just decided to let her keep it." And
Yeah, and then the
yeah,
second
and
one.
then the next one at the strip club,
So
obviously.
these are consecutive days, right? So
Yeah.
he loses it one day, wears a bright orange one the next day, and we're in the Uber about to leave. Austin
Hmm.
is just bantering with this drunk guy outside of the club, and he going back and forth. And this guy wanted Austin's. A lot of people in Nashville want consequential clothing. Let's just
I
put it
guess I
that.
gotta relocate. I don't know, honey.
I mean, it's probably not a bad idea because the guy said something along the lines of he knows people or he's like marketing whatever. Who knows? At that time
Yeah.
of day, at that location, I mean, it's just like you can't really find that the guy's telling the truth at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
Austin gives him the hat. After me persuading him because I wanted to go. The guy's arm was in the Uber door, just
Yeah.
like trying to keep us there.
He was
And
not letting us leave until he got the hat.
security 101. I didn't feel safe in that situation, so I said, Austin, I'll buy you a new hat. Just get rid of it.
Well, he was like, "Dude, I like that hat. How much?" I was like, $50. And he pulls out like fucking $7 in crumpled up ones. I'm like, "Oh, it's not gonna cut it." He's like, then I guess he started saying something along the lines of what you just said. Like he knows people. Like, shit, everyone knows someone. Shit, like I know Tyler. That's about it. But then I was just like, all right, there you go. I already lost one fucking free marketing, I guess.
He did, yeah. Free marketing, yes. He did say something very nice. He said something along the lines of he was coming when he heard the name Consequential Clothing. So
You might have just had some leftover blue balls from getting a lap dance from Portia in there a few minutes
yeah,
earlier.
well that makes two of you.
Hey, how would you even call that? Fucking, I don't even know what a good name would be. Not Eskimo Bros, but fucking Levi Bros just coming in our jeans. No, there was no male ejaculates on the part of your boy Yosoy, but I did throw a lot of singles there. I think at one point I was making eye contact with one of the strippers, and I had to borrow $3 from Tyler just to make it seem like I wasn't a complete scumbag. I said, "T, let me just get a couple on you." She's making eye contact with me with her face eyes and her whispering eye. Like, something's got to go down here. I don't know. Uh,
And I did, and you
yeah,
did,
hell
and
of a friend, hell of a guy.
yeah, it was a great time.
Yeah, it happened in a blink of an eye, and I think I blinked my eye once and that was about the amount of sleep I got on the whole trip. So if you saw me out in Nashville this past weekend, no, the
You
fuck you
didn't.
didn't, because that was a scary guy strolling down the streets of Broadway.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust him with anything at that point. Not even a hat. Couldn't
No,
even trust him with a hat.
no, but somehow you did trust me and Brian, the drunkest guys there, to try to walk 5 miles to the strip club. That was not your best idea.
So my phone said 10-minute walk, and then for some reason I kept looking down, and it was going like 9 minutes, and then like 5 minutes would go by, and it's like, oh, it's 9 minutes away, and I kept saying that to Austin and Brian, and I got videos of them. They had to take a few breaks, sit down, catch their breath. Brian was fighting gravity.
Brian versus Gravity is the best battle of all time. It's like Duke versus North Carolina, which segue, Tyler. We did catch a good amount of college basketball over the weekend. Of course, being the degenerate friend group that we are, we had almost half, if not more, of the guys betting on all the games, gambling. We had a Duke fan, North Carolina fan. So let's hop into the first game that happened over the weekend, which we didn't see much of. Villanova versus Houston. I know a lot of people had Houston going pretty far on their brackets, Tyler, but here we are again. Villanova at this 2 seed. Jay Wright, they're not too far removed of winning a national championship game. Didn't do anything crazy. Low scoring game, definitely a defensive battle, 50-44. But, the Wildcats are moving on to the Final Four.
Yeah, I mean, this was my first time watching both these teams play, and based on my experience, Houston is a very fast-paced team. They score the ball a lot, mainly due to defense producing offense. But I mean, I feel like Villanova was the kryptonite for Houston. They, really slowed the ball down, played their game, and played great defense. Hats off to Villanova. I mean, I don't think a lot of people had them winning out of that region. And Austin, I saw a crazy stat: 0.1% of the people in ESPN had the Final Four teams in the Final Four right now.
Hmm.
And you got four big names:
Yeah,
Duke, North Carolina, Villanova, and Kansas. I just find, if you read that headline to me 3-4 years ago, I would have called you crazy.
right. No, yeah, a lot of people coining it the Blue Bloods Final Four. You got Villanova, Duke, Kansas, North Carolina. Um, yeah, let's move on to the next game, Tyler. Like I said, we didn't really catch a lot of that one. No real headlines. Villanova, a solid team, just kind of
Just getting it done.
doing enough, right? Getting it done. Of course, I'm like, oh yeah, Villanova, UConn beat them in the regular season. They're not legit. What happens? UConn loses first round, and Villanova's sitting here in the Final Four. um, the next game on Saturday, Tyler, a little bit better, I guess, if you're a fan of the overs and like a lot of points being scored. 78-69, Duke Blue Devils. Coach K's farewell tour continues. Um, yeah, nothing crazy, Tyler. I mean, I haven't really watched a lot of Duke basketball this season. Obviously, Paolo and what is it, Williams. I think there's like 3 or 4 guys that are potentially going to be lottery draft picks for the Blue Devils. In this upcoming NBA draft. Um, you know, they're coming out of the gate scoring 45 points and a half. That's definitely a good sign. I mean, for me, I think I'm pretty sure I said it on last week's show, Tyler. Is there's fucking thunder rumbling in the background? I don't know if you can hear that. Sounds
I
like
did, yeah.
goddamn World of Worlds are coming down Southern California. Um, but I
It's
mean,
probably Tom Cruise shooting movie number 3.
yeah, right down the street. Sounds
Kind of
like
sounds like Will Smith smacking Chris Rock in the face.
yeah, right. That shit was crazy. I couldn't believe that. I mean, I think maybe we'll get into it later, but I'm a believer that that was not planned at all. I think that was legitimate.
Oh, so you think it was like a hoax? Like they did it
No,
on
I
purpose?
no, I don't believe that. I think it was legitimate.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of me being the wrestling fan that I am, it looks almost like it was meant to be played up to Will Smith winning the Oscar, I feel like.
Mm.
But I feel like there would have been like not so much awkward tension throughout the whole entire
Mm-hmm.
building after that happened if it
Yeah.
was not legitimate, you know?
Yeah, there's some weird like aspects to it, like the fact that Chris Rock, I'm sure they were like friends in some capacity before this. He just kind of like welcomed him on stage and it almost looked like he, leaned into it to get slapped. Didn't really phase him too much, but at the same time, he was kind of, noticeably taken back. Like he was kind of mumbling, slurring his words a little bit, and like they cut the broadcast, right? We only saw the clip from the one of the Asian, broadcast networks because I think the American feed cut to commercial. So it was like some weird stuff like that to make it seem like it wasn't a complete hoax. But what do I know?
Yeah, absolutely. The weirdest thing I've seen so far this year. I'm sure it will be topped by something else, as it usually always is. But a lot of funny memes out there now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it always happens. We're still
Chris
early
Rock,
though.
Chris Rock had the opening. If Will Smith is doing this in March, imagine how he acts in August. I mean, should have been
Ooh.
said.
He had it right there. Nice little August all seen entanglement reference from T there. I'm picking up what you're putting down, honey, even if the rest of the viewers at home aren't. But again, back to the game. Duke versus Arkansas, 2 versus 4 seed. You know, obviously Arkansas taking down Gonzaga. That's probably the only surprise in that bracket. But I mean, this is to be as expected. These were the top teams, and scripted, rigged or not, Tyler. Here we are. We got Duke in the Final Four. Coach K's final year. He's never gone to a Final Four in New Orleans before. He's never made it to the Final Four out of the West bracket. Here we are, coming full circle, and all of these things are coming to fruition in his final season.
Yeah, one thing that you missed, he now has beaten John Wooden, the late great, for
Mm-hmm.
most Final Four appearances with 13. I mean, if you looked at the bracket back a few weeks ago and saw Duke versus North Carolina potentially going to the Final Four, you would have had to call me a crackhead to say that they were going to go there. A Rain Man, if you will, because it's just blasphemous to think that those two teams are going to come out of their regions collectively. But Austin, as we
Mm.
have said, there are a lot of leagues in this world that are rigged. And this is just looking like a big rig. No CDL reference right there either, but a big rig on the part of the NCAA tournament, rigging this tournament so Coach K can have one more shot revenge tour
Mm-hmm.
at North Carolina after they beat him in his final game at Coach K Arena, Cameron Indoor. So kind of absurd. I would have never guessed it, but that's what March Madness is.
Yeah, so I mean, I clicked on the box score, Tyler, just to get a little bit deeper dive into the numbers. Their starters put up 14, 18, 16, 12, and 9. Pretty much everyone was in double digits there. They shot 89% from free throw, 40% from three, and 54, we'll call it 55% overall field goals. I mean, that is just like solid numbers, like well-oiled machine. I don't know. I don't really see another team right now that's left in this tournament. Maybe Kansas that can really give them a run for their money.
I like I like after watching Duke, I like watching them this season. They're a decent, well balanced team. I don't think that they're the favorite to win it. And honestly, after watching North Carolina this past weekend as well, it's going to be a tough game, for them in the Final Four semifinals of the tournament. I mean, this North Carolina team, they're big, they're ferocious, they can score at will. But on the other end of the spectrum, like you said, Kansas is a very well balanced team too. Uh, Bill Self said it himself. He didn't even think that this was one of his best teams that he's ever coached, and he has a lot of big names that you don't really hear about. But Remy Martin, for instance, is a guy that comes off the bench and is a fire starter for Kansas, and they really take over a game. So
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be interesting from here. I'll make my picks after, but I already kind of know who I'm gonna see in the final game.
You got the crystal ball over there.
Got the magic 8 ball.
Just rub on it a little bit. Yeah, so let's move into it. Kansas versus Miami. Very interesting game, Tyler. Miami actually had the lead at the end of the first half, 35-29, and then must have been one of the greatest, if not the greatest, halftime speeches of all time from Bill Self. Kansas comes out, completely demolishes them in the second half, outscoring them 47 to 15 points. They end up winning by 26 overall. I mean, for me, for this one, I think it just comes down to division. Outside of Duke and UNC, the ACC, in my opinion, hasn't really been that strong of a conference. Whereas on the other side of things, the Big Ten, they have,
Big 12.
Big 12, thank you. They have perennial, playoff tournament, teams that have been successful. Um, Look at the box score real quick. No one's doing anything too crazy. Um, I'm gonna butcher this, Tyler, as I'm accustomed to on this show. We got Okai Agbaji. He's a guard.
Decent.
It sounds right enough. He's a guard from Kansas. He had himself a nice game,
That
18
sounds like a
points.
West African dish.
I would say I would eat it, but that just sounds kind of weird after I just pronounce the guy's name. It's like, yeah, that sounds yummy, man. Scrumptious. Just eat that up like a snack. Um, I guess the only thing, like you said, Tyler, Bill Self said this. He said himself, this isn't his best team he's ever coached. Not a lot of hope from the supporting cast. I mean, they had two other starters in double digits. Other than that, a couple of starters had 5 points. Two guys had 9 points off the bench. They played. I mean, obviously, probably a testament to how big they were up at the end of the game. But it seems like they have a little bit of a deeper bench. They are the only number one seed left, Tyler. But I'm still just not sold on this Kansas team.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why I liked watching Kansas is because they know how to play a defense. I think after the first half, they realized who they need to key in on, who they don't need to. They really put their defense on Wong and McCusty completely, not allowing them to shoot any, pressuring them constantly. Left open a lot of people that normally don't take over the game to shoot. And, I mean, sometimes that has been a bad thing, where these guys that normally don't score a lot, catch heat and they don't stop, and they have the game of their life and then never do anything again. But Miami didn't do that. They had guys that were shooting threes that weren't accustomed to. Their point guard, who used to play for Kansas, he played a decent game, but he's more of a pass first point guard, doesn't score a lot of points. So taking Wong and McGusty out of the game really, hindered Miami a lot. And also Miami's big man, gonna butcher this. I think it's like Van Wagen or Vanderwagen, in foul trouble throughout the game. So he took him out early, and at the end it was just all Kansas. They just played a complete defensive mind game, and as Ray Lewis says, defense wins championships, and that's what's making Kansas's case to go to the finals, a little bit stronger, is how good their defense is.
Yeah, I think you were referring to Sam Wardenberg. There's two A's
Wardenberg,
in
yep,
there, so you
yep.
weren't too far off. But I'll give you the credit on that one. So yeah, rounding out the weekend of college basketball, Cinderella, her time was up. The pumpkin carousel or whatever it is, the horse and carriage, taking her back to scrubbing the floors because St. Peter's out of the tournament, losing by 20 points to North Carolina. Doug and the guys could not get it done. I mean, kudos to them, Tyler. Probably one of the best runs we've seen. I mean, we could definitely say positively it's the best run from a 15 seed we've ever seen in the March Madness tournament. One of the best of the double digit seeds all time. Um, but just at the end of the day, it comes down, to the schools, right? The recruiting, the accessibility, the facilities they have, the training, the level of competition they play throughout the season. Um, they had one guy in their starting rotation that scored double digits. Another guy off the bench had 12, Whereas on the other side of things, um, North Carolina, they had 20, 19, 14, 9, 5. Only 2 points combined, Tyler, from their bench players. So that's something interesting to look into. Again, whether it's rigged or not, we get Duke versus North Carolina. I just think, at this point in the season, Duke, for me, Tyler, and again, my formulas, they're never usually correct, but I feel like the most simple one that we often overlook, who has the best star players that are like next level ready to, not get too nervous in these big moments. And I think right now Duke has to clearly have, more than any other team left.
Yeah, I mean, in regards to the St. Peter's UNC game, it just looked like who deserved to be going on played the game that, they played. And UNC just completely took St. Peter's out from the get. They never even had a chance, being down. I think it was like 11-0 or at one point or something like that. So, UNC is a strong, big, physical team. They got great big men in Armando Basca, or I'm butchering his name, and then Mannix, or the white dude with the long hair. We'll go
Yeah.
with that. But I just like this UNC team, and I think they're very physical, and I think they're going to give Duke a lot of problems. Because Duke is a streaky team, and so is UNC. They both are this season. I think it's going to be a good game, and I think it's going to come down to, again, defense, Austin. I mean, who's gonna control the glass? Who's gonna control the clock and the tempo? Because they play such similar styles with their team. I think it's going to be interesting to see who really pulls out.
Well, it won't be me, Tyler, pulling out, as you know, your boy Yosoi. Yeah. Anyways, get back to the basketball talk here. Yeah, the only thing I want to say, you can't really necessarily put an asterisk next to North Carolina. They made it to the Final Four. Congratulations, Tar Heels. But first and foremost, they were playing in the chaos bracket, and obviously there was a plethora of chaos that occurred. St. Peter's took out the 2 and 3 seeds for them, and obviously North Carolina beat the number 1 seed in the bracket, Baylor. But I think that was probably the weakest number 1 seed in the tournament. Many thinking Dukes should have got that last number 1 seed instead of them. Butterfly effect. Everything happens for a reason. Now we get the matchup we all wanted. This is definitely, um, I'd say a sports writer's dream Final Four, just with all the headlines, all the coaches, the history, obviously, between these two teams. North Carolina, Duke never faced off in the NCAA tournament before. I don't know. I'm excited. I think we're going to have some good games.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't mind, I'm gonna go into who I think is gonna win and why.
Take it away.
First one, we'll start with on the one side, opposite UNC, Villanova versus Kansas. I think this is gonna be an all Kansas game. Like I said, defensively, I just like this team a lot. I think they're gonna be able to shut down Gillespie in Villanova in their offense. I don't think Villanova even has an offense that can contend with Kansas. I think it's going to be all Kansas all day long. I could see Villanova coming out, a little bit stronger at first, but then Kansas completely shutting them down. For some reason, I just like this Kansas team after watching them, dismantle Miami. But the second game I have UNC versus Duke. I have Duke winning it. Like I said, revenge tour. Coach K beating UNC after losing. I think Raider agrees with me on that one. He's very ecstatic with that pick. I can't see Duke losing. If Duke loses, NCAA is not rigged, right, Austin? Just like
Yeah,
what we said in the NFL.
right.
I forgot what game we said,
The
but
Bengals,
the
I think.
Bengals,
Yeah.
probably. But if Duke loses, the NCAA is not rigged. If they win, which they are going to, the
Right.
NCAA is rigged for Coach K to go out on top. So therefore, I have to go in this one, Kansas versus Duke in the finals.
Oh, there goes that the puke
Upper
from the water.
respiratory.
Yes. Geez, you gotta do some up downs or something, get the cardio back in shape. But Okay, so what's your like opinion on Duke? Because I feel like everyone is kind of strongly one-sided, one way or the other. Like, are you for them? Are you against them? Are you really just one of those lone people that are neutral?
I hate Duke, honestly.
Hmm. So would
That's
you rather see them lose this game or make it to the championship game and lose?
it depends on how diabolical I'm feeling, right? As you know, I mean, honestly, I'd rather see UNC win because I prefer UNC over most schools in the NCAA. But do I see that happening? No. Watching Coach K lose his last game in the finals, that might be the greatest thing ever in history. And to
Yeah.
rub that into Duke fans would be even greater.
Right. Just like,
But on the other end of the spectrum, now Kansas is winning if my picks are right, or Villanova, which I really don't like either of those teams.
no, not
Um,
really. Yeah.
UNC, if I had to pick, is my favorite in this one in terms of favorite schools, but I don't see them getting past Duke. I don't know. I think Coach K is going to scheme up a wonderful game, aka pay the refs a little bit extra, and get that thing moving.
I mean, I'm ready to get all things moving to you. You know this. I did have the same picks for a little bit of disparity on the podcast. I'll switch up one of them. Um, like I said, I can't go against Duke. There's just the stars are aligning for them to be where they are right now and to, have them keep moving forward onto the path of glory and winning an NCAA championship. I just think they have the better players. If it does go, what is it, 40 minutes, the full 40 minutes, and they're back and forth, I think at the end of the game, I trust those guys a little bit more to hit clutch free throws, to not make turnovers, just because they've been in these types of situations before, and they're pretty much mentally already at the next level. They've been here all their lives. Oh, you're going to be a top pick in the NBA draft, and they've been hearing it all season. The lottery pick, so their egos are as big as they could be right now. On the other side of it, I did like Kansas. I think they score the ball a little bit better. Obviously, Villanova is a defensive-minded team. I think the only way they can win this game is if they just dictate the pace of play. They don't necessarily score on fast break a lot. They shoot the three ball pretty well, at least in years past. I don't know the exact numbers this year. So I think the only way they come out and win, which I guess I am now on the side of predicting them to win and that this will happen. They come out here, they control the pace of play. They chew up the shot clock. They don't make too many turnovers. And, they are a well coached team, Tyler. They've been in this situation before. And I think they have enough guys to get the job done.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely going to be probably one of the most interesting storylines, especially on the one side of the bracket. But it'll continue, especially if Duke wins. So, um,
Yeah, other than, like, overall, like, all the teams are good. I just, if it's tough to say. I wish St. Peter's was, like, on the other side. Maybe it was them versus Kansas. We get the 15 seed in the finals. And, if they beat, Coach K gets his win against North Carolina, and then St. Peter's wins against Duke, and Coach K's final season. That's like they'd make songs about that, right? And like just be one of the craziest stories of all time. So let's, if you don't mind, switch gears real quick, Tyler. There is some other basketball going on right now. The NBA. Um, I got to get your opinion. Right now, the Los Angeles Lakers are sitting at 31 and 43. They're hanging on by just a thread for that last playoff spot for the play-in. I think they're a half game up on the Spurs right now. They've played one less game, so they have one less loss. The Spurs have a lot easier of a remaining schedule. LeBron's hurt. AD's been out for how long? I don't know how long LeBron's going to be out for. Should the Lakers just tuck their tail and try to get ready for next season, or do you think they can pull it out and get into the play-in game?
well, what's their record? 31 and 43, you said, or 40 or 33?
43, yeah, and then the Spurs are 31 and 44.
So that's 74 games. So there's 8 games left in the season.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of this dictates on, who wants to step up for the Lakers. But if I'm an NBA fan or if I'm a Lakers fan, I'm not thinking this looks too good, especially, having Russell Westbrook take over. They don't really have a lot of role players that have been producing really well for the Lakers.
Hmm.
On the other end of the spectrum, I mean, the Spurs really aren't that great either. I mean, they have younger talent, Deontay Murray,
He's
but
been balling,
he's been balling. It's
walking
just,
triple double.
I mean, on paper, both those teams they're ass. Um, and the fact that we still have a playing game, although it's an interesting concept, I don't think it works for the NBA. I didn't really like it last year when they had it. The fact that I'm talking about a 10 seed potentially making the playoffs, let alone a 9 seed, I
Mm,
don't like it. I don't think that a team that's 31 and 43 shouldn't even be in the conversation of having a chance at the NBA title
right.
because of how bad your record is. They're just a bad team. They're both bad teams. I just don't have the energy or the willpower to explain how it's possible for them to get in. I will say, if I had to pick one, it'd probably be the Spurs just because of how bad the Lakers have let down everybody,
Hmm.
regardless of if you're a fan or not. Just a
Yeah.
fan of the NBA.
So I guess just to put it in perspective, like I said, the strength of schedule, Lakers, the last 8 games, Mavericks, Jazz, Pelicans, Nuggets, Suns, Warriors, Thunder, Nuggets. So they're playing all playoff teams with the exception of the Oklahoma City Thunder,
And
where,
Pelicans.
well, Pelicans are in the 9 spot right now, so
Oh, never
technically they're in
mind.
the playoff game. On the other side of things,
That's how much I
Spurs
know.
have,
I might I add, I
yeah.
also have no idea about what's going on in the West right now because it's
Hmm.
such a dumpster fire.
Yeah. Now, super top heavy over there. Spurs, they have 7 games left. They play Grizzlies back to back versus the struggling Trailblazers, which, you got to imagine they'd win those. They got the Nuggets, Timberwolves as well, and then Warriors, Mavs. So I guess the only exception is like the 2 games against the Trailblazers, whereas the Lakers only have the 1 game against the Thunder. So it's going to be a close one right there. But like you said, Tyler, flipping over to the other side, the Eastern Conference, which has been a lot better. Clearly, they're 10 seed right now. The Atlanta Hawks, 38 and 37. Looks like that should wrap it up, Tyler, for the playoff teams. The Knicks are about 4.5 games behind them with only 8 to go. It'd be a miracle of a run. Um, the Hornets playing
And
decent
after
ball.
Ice Tray went in the Garden against the Knicks.
Dude, that guy just puts the fucking AC on and then just completely goes berserk in there. I don't
My
know
guy
why.
is the Nick Killer. He should be called the KK because he's the Nick Killer.
We might have to think about that nickname. I'm sure we can get a better one for you, Trey. Um, Nets, Tyler. Kyrie's been back. KD's been balling, but they're still kind of struggling at that 8 seed. Are you worried at all if they have to go through the playing games?
Well, I don't think they're going to go through the playing games. I don't even think that's going to even be an accommodation. Kyrie Irving last night, first Brooklyn game, homecoming, after the New York City has lifted the mandate. They won. I forget who they faced last night. The Hornets. That's who it was.
Mm,
They're looking good. I mean, it's a lot of it is it's it's like playing musical chairs. The Nets oftentimes this season never knew who was going to be playing. Kyrie was in, Kyrie was out. Kevin Durant was in, Kevin Durant was out. A lot of moving parts, James Harden throughout the season. And, now I think we're finally getting back into that groove where, Seth Curry is playing. He's on fire from three. Andre Drummond, best rebounder in the NBA, a walking double double. Kevin Durant, he's just moving up the points leader list. He's now at 21, surpassing Jerry West, I believe. Now you get Kyrie Irving back full time, which is, as long as he stays healthy, this team with Kyrie Irving is absolutely lethal. Um, add a lot of the other bench players and role players. I mean, this Nets team is a dangerous team. And honestly, you get a healthy KD, a healthy Kyrie, just a healthy Nets team overall. I don't think anybody beats them. And that's a little bias.
mm-hmm. A
A
little
little.
bit.
A
So
little.
refresh my memory. How do these playing games work? It's the 9 versus 10, right? Loser goes home, and then the winner plays the 8 seed. Is that how it
Yes.
goes? So
Yes.
right now the Nets are at the 8 seed, 3 games back of the Cavs,
Wait.
Tyler.
The winner face. No, it's the isn't it the 7 versus 10 and the 8 versus the 9? And then
No, fuck. Let me see. NBA.
I never I didn't really understand it. I think it's the set it is. It's the 7 versus the 10 and then the 8 seed versus the 9 seed. And then it's one game. Winner of the 7-10 faces the
All right, so
that
here we
doesn't make
go. Here we
sense.
go. Here we go. 9 versus 10. Um, winners or losers out. Winner plays the loser of 7 versus 8, and the winner of 7 versus 8 gets the 7 seed. So then the loser of that goes on to play the winner of 9-10. That is a shit ton more complicated than I even imagined it could be. If you saw the arrows on my screen right now, this is incredible.
It's like the Grand Theft Auto cheat code. Up, down, left, right.
I mean, I don't know. I understand Adam Silver where he's coming from and how he's trying to get, more teams incorporated, make it more exciting, different fan bases, money, 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 of course, Mr. Krabs, all that stuff. But like if you're looking for upsets in these first couple rounds, you're having the 7 seed. Okay, the 7 seed only plays one extra game. But then the 8th seed is going to play 2 extra games. It goes into a against a number 1 seed that already has the advantage, and they're going to be even more tired. Like I just don't think that makes a lot of sense in my
Well, as we
opinion.
said, Austin, obviously the tired aspect doesn't play a huge role because maybe it's their legs are used to already be running, so therefore they're not sitting out that long. Therefore, their legs are already warmed up while the other team's legs are cold.
Yeah, I call it
So
bullshit. I mean, if that was the case, then the NFL wouldn't have bias.
yeah, well, I mean, I think like I said, I think it's stupid talking about a 9 and 10 seed, in the West that are how many games below 500? 7,
Yeah,
8 is just ridiculous. I mean, if you can't be 500 and make the playoffs, that's just egregious. Like
right.
that should never happen. I
So,
do I do have a game for you after what you're just about to say though.
I was just about to ask, like, so what would your solution to that be? Just take more along the lines of the top 16 teams, no matter what the conference is?
If okay, so if we're gonna change it and we want to change it to something other than the traditional way, which I like. The traditional
Hmm.
way is, it's worked for years, forever.
All right.
Um,
Right.
but if we're going to change it, I think the top 16 teams in the NBA, regardless of conference, is a very intriguing setup that you have there. One faces
Mm-hmm.
16, two faces 15, and we just go down along the lines, maybe switch it up a little bit. Obviously, I'm running on a whim right now, but
Mm-hmm.
um, I just despise this playing game thing. It just doesn't really sit well with me.
Yeah, I think at this point you're getting a little bit too out of hand, a little bit more confusing than it is enjoyable for people. Again, there's probably people that feel differently, otherwise, some diehard NBA fans, and if their team is on the cusp, like what the Lakers, did they even make it past the playing series?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
they
did.
did, and then okay, they lost. So it's like, all right, Lakers technically made the playoffs. You can't put that against LeBron's resume, but at the same time, it's like, what did they even do?
Well, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Why are we changing something that has consistently worked in the NBA? Like, uh, you want to add four more teams to the playoff contention? Okay. Like the NFL, they added only two, for
Hmm.
both conferences, which I think I think that's a little bit more competitive because now you're adding a team that's legitimately should probably be the second best team in some divisions that may be the third or even fourth best. I mean, the AFC West this year is
Hmm.
probably going to have all four of them make the playoffs
Yeah.
because how good they are. And if you didn't have those seven, it would be impossible. Where the NBA, it's like I don't know. 8 is a lot of teams to make it to the playoffs per conference. I mean, that's half of them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I would almost say kind of I think this is more along the lines of what you're trying to say is like I would almost be more open to giving, the number 1 or maybe the 1 and 2 seeds buys and then, having the rest of the teams play a best 2 out of 3 series, right? So it's not like you're going even best of 5 or best of 7 where they're going to get too tired. You get the deservingly, so top 2 seeds a bye and then, you're not fighting for okay, the top 10 seeds in the conference, you expand it to um, say if we had another team, then it's like top 9, right? And then you get one extra team in there. I don't know. I just think the like 4 extra games they're trying to add just makes it a little bit out of hand.
yeah, it's almost like they're trying to be greedy with the schedule adding those games. Maybe this play-in series would have worked in the bubble when you have all those teams collectively there. Now you're adding, I mean, let's think about it from a player's perspective. Now you're adding all these extra plane trips, all these extra, miles that they're having to do on the road. It really takes a toll out of a player. And is it, as you said, is it really even fair for a team that's up in the play-in game? I mean, granted, they're in the playoffs technically.
Mm,
Maybe they shouldn't even be there in the first place. But then to go up against a 1 seed or a 2 seed that hasn't really been doing anything and just training and resting, it just doesn't make up for the potential of a upset. Where when we had 1 through 8, there was at least a even court. They're all playing the same amount of games. There
mm-hmm,
is potential for an upset, although it rarely ever happened with a 1 and 8. But I think
mm-hmm.
we need to go back into the NBA of doing, the thing that we always did in the playoffs because it made the most sense and, it always worked.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I do enjoy like a little bit of change. You can't always be stuck in your ways, but there are certain things that's like you're not going to change a 3-point shot to, 5 points if you shoot it from behind half court. Like stuff like that just doesn't make a lot of sense. Um, okay, last bit of basketball, Tyler. Just got to give a quick shout out to my Lady Huskies from UConn.
Oh,
Moving on to
Jesus.
the what? I gotta get some UConn pride in here somewhere, man. I mean, the guys never get it done, but the ladies team, like Gino Page buckets, like she's just out there doing her thing.
Actually, that's going to be an interesting a headline. You want to talk about headlines? Women's basketball Paige Bucherts. Uh, do you know where the NCAA tournament is being held in the Final Four for the women's side?
I mean, I'm
Minneapolis,
gonna take
where
a
Paige
quick
Bucherts
guess.
is
And,
from.
fuck. Okay, I couldn't find it quick enough. Is it actual? So she's gonna have,
Home court
home
advantage.
court advantage.
Yeah, and she's gonna win it all. UConn is my favorite. Paige Buchert's coming back off of a devastating injury. I never thought I would be talking this much about college women's basketball, but here I am. And she's gonna win it for UConn for Gino Auriemma for like what, his 32nd national championship?
I don't know about 32nd, but definitely I'd say double digits for sure. I mean, your grandpa would be proud that we're giving the women's basketball tournament a little bit of shine here.
Yeah. I do
Yeah.
want to I do want to play one game though with you. I'm going to transition into a quick just because I don't know
Mm,
how long it's going to play. I need you to share the screen with me, and I came across this fun little game that
okay.
I think you would like. I know you're a big proponent of games. It's
Love them.
look on Google and go to Podal game. It's
Podal.
no Poeltltl game.
Okay.
There it is. Now click on the first one.
Okay.
All right, read it. So,
All right. Let me share the screen with the people at home.
all right, so this is a fun little game. You only get one of these a day, right? You can only guess like one player a day.
So
So
did you already do this one? Is it the same player for everyone?
I think it randomizes, but I didn't do it today. So
Or?
I just came across it the other day and I thought it was very fun. You get 8 guesses to try and guess the NBA player. As you can see on the screen, green means that you indicated a match. Yellow in the team column means that the player has played for them at some point in their career, but doesn't currently. Yellow in the position indicates a partial match to the player's position. So if they're a guard and it's yellow, it could also mean that they're a forward too as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yellow in any other column indicates this attribute within two of that mystery player. So whether it's inches, years played in the league, or years of age, or their player number. And if we get stuck, we can show the silhouette mode. But the silhouette mode, I will tell you, Austin, is a little bit cheap. You can usually kind of always tell who it is, I feel like. But
Nah, fuck it. I'm ready. Let's go in raw, baby.
all right,
All
first
right.
player, I'll allow you to guess. Just guess any player.
Oh. So this is like what's the one everyone's talking about? The Wordle or something?
Yeah, the Wordle.
All right. Nate Archibald. Oh, is this a
Is
current?
that? Yes, it's current.
Oh shit. Um,
We'd be here all day if it was all of them.
Tiny Nate. Manute Bowl. What's a player? Okay. I'm gonna go. Damn it. Carl Anthony Towns, I guess. All right, so Western Conference, so yellow means it's within a position of that.
Yeah, so the person is a forward. They're shorter than 6'11", younger than 26. Their number is higher than 32. They play in the West.
Luka Doncic.
Put it in.
That's my guess.
Put it in.
Woo, baby! All I needed is two. Let's go. That was easy.
Wow.
Now, wow, we gotta wait 4 hours.
Yeah, you only get one a day.
Oh shit.
Maybe this will be a new segment. Guess the player.
All right, well, that's gonna be tough to top two right there.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. How did you even come up with that? Was it the number?
The number, yeah. Younger than 26. Like, I was already thinking Luca, and then you said higher number than 32, and I was like, that's the only person I can think of that has a high ass number. That's like a forward, you know.
Wow, that was this guy is fucking
I'm
on it
locked in.
tonight.
You weren't thinking that at all?
Well, I wasn't even thinking, I guess. I mean, I was going to take a stab at a Western Conference player, and here you are just screaming out Luka Doncic from the rafters.
I almost said Luka Doncic for my first player, too. Imagine that. I just
Imagine. Yeah. We would never beat it. It would be game over.
Yeah, that would make it fun. All right, now we're at least saving it for one potential one and done. That was a good little game, though. I like that. Next time, I'll try not to be so smart and make it a little bit more of a challenge.
Yeah, or hey, Podol, let's not put the future greatest player in the NBA as the actual player that it is.
All right, I mean, they could have done like Halliburton or like
I did one
Gilgeous
the other day. It
Alexander.
was Jeff Green, and I'm like, God damn it, I can't. It took me 7 guesses to get it.
Yeah,
I had to look up the roster.
I kind of wish it was a harder one to where we could like go through more of the numbers and stuff. So what
next week?
The silhouette is like legitimately a silhouette, like you see the outline of their body.
So it's that picture that they pulled up of Luka. It's just it would be blacked out.
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
Yeah. So if you looked at it, you would be able to tell.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was a good little game, T. I appreciate that. I don't know. I don't know if I have any. Oh, okay. One thing I did want to touch on, Tyler. So obviously last week's episode is a little bit more of a somber note, talking about football for your boy Yo Soy. This week there's some rumblings, T. I guess the Packers and the Chiefs have reached out to the Seahawks inquiring about DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett.
Oh boy.
Not as a package deal, I don't believe. That would just be incredible. Imagine the Packers just got DK and Tyler, and they're like, hey, the Seahawks keep beating us in the playoffs every year. Let's just fucking take the receivers on their team.
Well, if I'm Pete Carroll at that point, I'm just up and leaving. Cause if you get rid of DK, like you get rid of Russell Wilson's one thing, of course. You could always, try and find that next future quarterback. But now you're getting rid of all your skilled position players, your best player. After DK Metcalf said, I'm going to step up and be the leader of this team. And now you're getting rid of him after getting rid of Bobby and also Russell Wilson. Absolutely bizarre. And also, I swear to God, if either one of those go to the AFC West and go into the Chiefs, I will freak out.
I mean, I could see one of them going to the Chiefs more than I can the
Hopefully, Tyler
Packers.
Lockett.
I mean, yeah, he's probably the best, replacement for Tyreek Hill as you can get in the league. But Tyler, if you are, Pete Carroll, Seahawks organization, obviously, you got Drew Lock, I think QB1 on the depth chart right now. That I don't think that's going to be enough to get it done. Are you in rebuild mode? Are you taking calls? Are you getting interested in these guys? I mean, obviously the Packers have picks to give up right now for one of those two guys, but like, how interested are you in moving two of your top at least playmakers?
I would be more intrigued to keep DK Metcalf. Although I have been a DK Metcalf hater on this podcast on numerous occasions,
Mm-hmm.
I just think he's not at that age threshold yet where you can just like trade him for a trillion of picks. Where Tyler Lockett, he's a little bit older. You could probably get a little bit more for him from a team that needs a wide receiver. I would even consider, maybe dumping Jamal Adams in there too. Maybe seeing how many picks you could get for Jamal Adams. There's teams that want safeties, especially of his caliber. If I'm the Seahawks, I'm getting rid of Russell Wilson. In my mind, I'm thinking full rebuild mode. And the only way I possibly would ever do that is if I'm getting 14 picks in the next year's draft. I'm just drafting
Mm.
anybody and everybody I can, getting my cap low, going after big name players in the following offseason while also, tanking and
Mm-hmm.
getting high draft picks for the following year.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And then I was obviously on the other side of things as a Packers fan slash owner. I love DK. I think he's a stud. I think he hasn't shown his true potential, and it makes it move a little bit. Just thinking about
Whoa.
the connection that him and Aaron Rodgers could have. Because think about it, he gets pretty much a step on any DB in the league. Rodgers can put it pretty much wherever, back shoulder, this and that. Thread the needle. But with that being said, I don't want to do an even swap Devontae for DK. I don't think they should give up the picks they got from the Raiders, as compensation for the Seahawks and trying to get DK. Um, I think you are in win now mode. Obviously, you just got Rodgers back for 4 years. Um, I think there is potentially some guys that you should try to go after in these first two rounds this year. However, if you want to give up some future picks, maybe some protected picks, I wouldn't be too upset about that. But I do not want the Packers to give up what they got from Devontae for DK.
I mean, if I'm you, Austin, I wouldn't trade or go after DK. Just having two Sagittarius head cases on your team, one being your quarterback, one being your star wide receiver, would be an absolute blow up. And maybe it will work, in terms of being a fan outside the Packers organization and seeing the Packers just completely crumble from the inside out because of that. So, just buyer beware is what I would say.
Fight fire with fire, baby. All gas, no brakes. Let's go. No, I don't know. All I know is they got to get someone in the wide receiver room because it's starting to get scary hours right now.
Robert Tunyon. Oh no, Aaron Jones. You guys are all set.
Do the reverse Ty Montgomery and just move Aaron Jones to receiver, fucking slot receiver. Jesus, that'd be such a Packers move.
We're saving money.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Not even because they just paid him all that money. Anyways, that's all I got for us right now.
I have one more thing.
One more
Happy
thing.
birthday to the greatest quarterback in Raiders history, Derek Carr, celebrating his birthday today. I know you're watching. Love you.
Hey Derek, happy birthday! High five, Bucko. Take that. I just touched a public transportation device handle, so I hope you get sick. Not too sick to where you die, but to where you can't throw the ball to Devontae this year and the Raiders stink. Maybe like MRSA. Is that airborne?
I don't think
Bacterial?
so. I think
Okay.
that's like I don't know. I'm not a
Yeah.
doctor.
All right. Anyways, that's going to do it for this episode of No Look Podcast. I'll be right back with Monday Night Gaming. Going to be playing a little bit of Fortnite, new season, no building. Stay tuned.
Love you.